Hey BookTube, welcome back. This week I'm going to do a video about memory and specifically books that are tied to our memories. About a week and a half ago, my name is Marenes, whose channel I will link below, did a video called 5 Books That Influenced Me. That's Grouch. And while this book didn't influence me in the way that those books influenced Marenes or in other videos that books have influenced people, I want to talk about a book that is tied specifically to a very fond memory of mine, the day I saw Gene Hackman get into a fight. Okay, so the book in question is The Night in Question, Tobias Wolff, one of my all-time favorite short story writers. This book I was reading in the year 2002. The reason I remember this so well, not just for the content of the book, but because at the time that I was reading this, I didn't own a lot of books. I had been living in Los Angeles probably about a year and a half, and this was one of the first books that I had added to my collection. I couldn't afford to ship everything across the country. I'm originally from New York, and to ship everything to Los Angeles was going to be a lot of money, and I actually had to give up almost all of my books. I just wound up giving them away to bookshops or friends or whatever, and it crushed me. And so once I got here, this was one of the first ones that I bought, and that's a big reason why I remember it. But the bigger reason is the day I got out of work. So I was, at the time, a front desk clerk at a trendy hotel on the Sunset Strip, and I'd just gotten off work and I was walking to the corner of Crescent Heights and Sunset Boulevard to go catch a movie. And this book was something that I had been reading that day on my lunch break. And I remember I was waiting to cross the light, and through the clutter of my daydreams, I started to hear what sounded like an argument, and I looked over and I realized that there were in fact two people, two men, one older gentleman and one really young guy, probably in his 20s, having an argument, or at least a one-way argument, because the older guy was just standing there at parade rest, which is the, if you don't know what parade rest is, it's how military people stand when they're at ease. That's the best way to describe it. And so he was just standing there, and the younger guy was just in his face, like, "Who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? You think you own this town? Blah, blah, blah." And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I looked, and first of all, there was a girl between them, or trying to get between them. And it was clear that she was with the younger guy, because she was like, "Baby, calm down. It's okay, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, there's no damage." And I looked, and in fact, there was no damage to these two vehicles that were parked on the side of the road. I don't remember what the vehicle behind was, but the vehicle in front was a Volvo. That becomes important later in the story. Okay, so they were just screaming at each other, or he was just screaming at the older guy, and the older guy just standing there with his chest puffed out, arms behind his back, not saying anything, and this younger guy just getting in his face over and over and over again. And I remember, and it was a long light, because it's a, if you're from LA, you know the intersection, but it's a long light because there's a lot of streets pulling into this, and so I started to, and I was on this little island, this little dirt island. So we were just sort of trapped there together, and it was just me and them. But from my vantage point, I couldn't get a good look at the older guy's face. I was just sort of curious at this point what the young guy was yelling about, and what the whole, like, "Who do you think you are? And do you own this town?" nonsense. And I was like, who is this guy? And I started to walk around to the side so I could get a better look. And as I walked around, I realized in my I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I was like, holy shit, you're Gene Hackman. And then the second I thought that, he just suddenly turned, noticing that I was there. There was another person there. And it was almost like, it wasn't like he was surprised to see another person. It was almost like he was surprised that he hadn't done anything sooner. I don't know how to describe it, but he took recognition of me and used the opportunity to finally end this. So suddenly the older guy, taking notice of me, without even looking, just threw this huge right cross and connected with this guy's head so hard that the guy literally did a 360. I mean, just spun around, completely confused. The older guy, by the way, still not taking his eyes off of me, with his left hand, reached out and grabbed the guy by the throat to stop him from spinning, and then with his right hand continued to just punch this guy in the head over and over until finally the girl started screaming, and she looked, and then the girl looked at me. Now everyone's looking at me. I don't know why. The girl looked at me and she was like, "Call 911." And I literally was laughing so hard that I there was nothing I could do. Also, I had a really janky cell phone. I don't at that time, like, minutes were a big thing, and I don't think I would have wasted the minutes on this. It was just too good. But more importantly, I was just stunned, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what to do. And so then all of a sudden there was another guy who was in the vehicle in front, came running out, jumped on the back of Gene Hackman, trying to wrench him off. The girl was trying to get in between them two to get him to stop, and all four of them just eventually fell over onto the ground and just rolled around on the ground. And that's how the fight ended, with all four of them just dusty and bruised. And the younger guy, by the way, who would be later known in the press as Volvo Man for not pressing charges. I'm assuming they either settled out of court or he was just too embarrassed to get his ass whipped by a 75-year-old former Marine. That's my memory of the night in question with Tobias Wolff. It's a pretty good memory. It's one of my greatest celebrity sightings in Los Angeles. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys being here. I love all the comments that you guys have been giving me, and please keep sending them back. Also, I'd like to hear what memories are tied to certain books that you love, and I'd like to know what those memories are. So drop them in the comments, or hit like and subscribe, or whatever it is, and I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.